I am not my thoughts. I'm the one having the thoughts. Welcome to the Illuminarium, and this is a letter to the future. The purpose of this series is to illuminate ideas, experience strength and hope, stories that can be of service to the next generation of young conscious minds that are heart-centered and care about being of service and purpose in this lifetime. So as we walk this path together, I'm excited to share with you about a tool. And this is the single most important tool that I have ever learned in my entire life, and I did not learn about this tool until I was 35 years old. And this is the tool of awareness. It was said to me, I remember that day. I was 35 years old. This person said, you know all those voices and thoughts in your head? I thought to myself, yeah, I've got too many voices and thoughts going in my head. They're driving me crazy sometimes. In fact, I really notice them when I'm hangry. Right? When I'm hangry, those voices and thoughts, they start to get more snarky. Yeah, I know those voices and thoughts in my head. He goes, yeah, those voices and thoughts, that's not you. That's not me. He said, no, you are the one watching the thoughts. You're the one having the thoughts. I've got an elbow, but I'm not my elbow. I've got a chin, but I'm not my chin. And I've got thoughts, but I'm not my thoughts. I'm the one having my thoughts. And he also went on to teach me about my thoughts are like programs. For example, if I go jump in the ocean, the first thing my brain says is, oh, I am cold. All right, boss says I am cold. Let's make sure to get cold and shiver and all the things. Now, it might be a true statement, but it becomes a different experience when I jump in the ocean. The first thing my brain says is, I am cold. I realize if I stay in that state that I'm just going to perpetuate the cold, and so I say to myself instead, ooh, the water is cold, so I need to stay warm. I'm warming up. I'll get used to this. The longer I'm in it, the easier it gets. You can see how running that program becomes more helpful in shifting my attitude and attention. We teach this to local youth, so another expression of it is when they sit down and do homework, and the first thought in their head is probably their mind saying, oh, I hate homework. Oh, I can't stand math. If we think about what type of program would be running with those thought forms, it's one that's going to, hate the homework, and time's going to go even slower, probably even feel more painful. And it would make complete sense as to why a person doing homework with those voices going on in their head would have a struggle of it, why it would seem very undesirable. But if I can catch those thought forms and replace them with something more helpful, like, oh, well, I am grateful that I have a free education. I'm grateful that I have a teacher who cares about me. I'm grateful because I know that I need to know these things for college, and I like learning and growing. And so as I'm doing this, I'm growing. And the sooner I'm done with this, then the sooner I can go out and do something fun with my friends. So we can see how that second set of programs, I'm grateful I have a free teacher, an education, people who care about me, I like growing, is going to be a lot more helpful and effective than that first thought form of I hate homework. And so this is the act of mind watching. This is the act of being the observer, watching my thought forms, and knowing that if I can watch my thought forms, then I can change them. If I observe my mind, then I can replace those thought forms with something more helpful. And so knowing this is not the same as practicing it. See, I could hand you a baseball bat, tell you the length of it, show you a perfect swing, have you take a swing. Does that make you good at hitting? It doesn't. And so this is all about practice. And the beauty is that I can practice this tool of awareness anytime, anywhere, and I can get better at it every single time I take a single rep of observing my thought and then changing it to something more helpful. A lot of times mindfulness and being the aware observer, it leads to the practice of just observing the thoughts, which is extremely helpful and extremely important. And there's an opportunity to then take the thought that I'm observing, that program I'm seeing, and then changing it to something more helpful. And this is the practice of active awareness. When we talk about limiting beliefs, At its core, this is what's occurring. I have a thought in my head that says, oh, I can't do that, or that's not for me. And if I'm listening to that program all day long, it would make sense as to why those things don't come true and I'm not able to achieve those things. This is the power of positive thinking. This is the power of mindset. This is the fundamental building block of all the tools we teach, is this single act of observing my thought forms and then being able to change them into something more helpful. So this is our practice of awareness. To be aware of the truth that I am not my thoughts, I am the one having my thoughts. I have an elbow, but I'm not my elbow. I've got a chin, but I'm not my chin. And I've got thought forms, but I'm not my thoughts. I'm the one having the thoughts. And since that is true, then I can change my thoughts and I can replace them with something more helpful. The neuroplasticity of things makes it so that my brain is literally shifting and changing just by using my own mind to transform who I am becoming, through what I am choosing to do, knowing that my attention is the fundamental building block of the universe and my own reality. People say timing is everything, and it's very, very important. Oh, it's so vital. People say love is everything. That really feels true. But perspective really is everything. Because my perspective, one moment in, one moment out, 1 second at a time, stitched together moment after moment after moment, is my reality. And what I give my attention to over and over again then becomes the programs that become patterns. And why this is so important is that when I do a pattern long enough, then there becomes a day where I'm not even thinking about it and it's just going on its own. These are the patterns where years and years of the same habit all of a sudden gets a control of my life in a way that maybe I don't want it to. And the pathway out of this situation of a pattern gaining a hold of me is, first off, having the awareness that it's happening. Having the awareness that my programs have hit repeat until they become a pattern, and having the awareness that I can begin to change those with my mind. And it doesn't happen overnight. So anybody who's trying to transform something about their lives and they're saying, wait, I'm doing the power of positive thinking, I'm thinking it, how come it hasn't changed? It's because things take time. A seed that gets planted is growing underground and it continues to grow, but it takes a while until it sprouts and turns into the flower or the plant. And so the same with the transformations that I create in my inner realm, I oftentimes give them at minimum 90 days. 90 days where I hope to have something transform in my life. And so I'll say to myself, you know what, I want to learn to enjoy spreadsheets more. I want to enjoy washing dishes more. I want to be more confident. And whatever program that I'm choosing to run for those 90 days, then I make sure for at least 90 days, I'm talking to myself about that program over and over and over again. And sure enough, not 82 days in, not 85 days in, but 90 days in, I began to look at where I had limiting beliefs, thought forms, or patterns in my life, and I can look at them and say, wait a minute, whoa, those have changed. Because through neuroplasticity and talking to myself through positive programming, I have found for myself, I can change anything about myself, particularly the way I'm thinking and my own mindset. And so, awareness. I am not my thoughts. I'm the one having the thoughts. My thoughts are like programs, and if I'm observing the programs, then I can change the programs to whatever it is I want so I can begin creating the life that I want.